Okay, okay, I'm
Are
ready.
you ready for everyone to? Okay, admitting everyone shortly. Good afternoon, everyone. We're just going to give it a couple more minutes for additional users to hop on, so thank you for your patience. Feel free to enter your agency name into the chat. Linda, the users joining has slowed down, so feel free to get started.
Okay, hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining the Project Performance Report Goals 1 through 5 training today. Please make sure to include your name and your agency in the chat so that we can record attendance. So for the agenda today, we will be going over the project performance overview. Then we will go over goals 1 through 4 in detail. And then I'm going to do a quick demo on how to run the PPR reports for these goals so that the user can quickly identify these errors and make those corrections in HMIS. Then we will go over goal 5, which is unit utilization. And then I will also do a little demo on how users can use goal 5 reports to identify the errors for bed utilization. And then we will close it off for questions at the end. Just to better organize our questions, we recommend that you use the Q&A option on the Zoom. And then we ask that you keep the training, the questions general and related to the topics in the training. If you have any specific questions pertaining to your agency, please submit a ticket to the HMIS help desk, just so that we can investigate your issue further and provide you better assistance on your question. So what is a project performance report? A project performance report is a report that publishes performance data for all street outreach, emergency shelter, transitional housing, rapid rehousing, and permanent supportive housing, other permanent housing projects that participate in HMIS. It also highlights the different measures that HUD and our COC have determined that are important in effectively ending homelessness in Orange County. And it's also used to highlight successes for different projects. This can also help providers to develop processes and policies for improving performance. This is the PPR schedule of all the different project types that are being reported on in our COC. The project performance report is published on a monthly basis and it follows the schedule on the screen. So first we have goal 1. This is to prioritize clients experiencing literal homelessness. This goal is to make sure that 100% of all clients in the project is coming from a literal homeless situation. And this is just to ensure that all our COC limited resources are focused on those with the greatest need for housing. A literal homeless situation. This means that clients are coming from a place not meant for habitation, such as emergency shelter, safe haven, and also transitional housing. There are some neutral situations that would be considered a neutral entry, which means that it would be excluded from the measure entirely. So if you have any of your clients that have these responses listed here, so those responses would be excluded from the measure. It would not affect your score. So goal one looks at the prior living situation field in order to determine whether or not a client is coming from a literal homeless situation. This measure is collected for head of households and adults. And the applicable project types from this measure includes street outreach, emergency shelter, transitional housing, rapid rehousing, permanent supportive housing, and it's going to be 100% as a threshold across the board. Goal two is to decrease the length of stay in temporary shelter and outreach. The goal of goal two is to have clients spend as little as time as possible experiencing homelessness in street outreach, emergency shelter, and transitional housing projects. And this is applicable to clients active during the reporting period. For street outreach, it's going to be less than or equal to 65 days. Emergency shelter, less than or equal to 30 days. Transitional housing is going to be less than or equal to 180 days. So this measure is calculated by using the project start date and the project exit date in order to determine the length of stay for each client in street outreach, transitional housing, emergency shelter, entry, exit. For emergency shelter night by night projects, it is calculated by counting the number of bed night services that was provided during the client's enrollment. So on the table on the right, it will kind of give you a little bit more detail on how to determine the project exit date for each project type. For street outreach, if a client is enrolled into an emergency shelter or transitional housing project, that would be the exit date for the street outreach project. Um, and for emergency shelter, transitional housing, the project exit date would be the last day of the continuous day in the project before the client was transferred into another residential project. And then for permanent housing, also including rapid rehousing, this would be the last day that the client receives rental assistance or supportive housing or supportive services. And lastly, for services only projects and homeless prevention projects, this would be the last day a service was provided or the last day of an ongoing service. So goal three, this is also kind of similar to goal two, but this is for homelessness prevention projects. Again, this is collected for clients active during the reporting period. This is only applicable to homelessness prevention projects, and this is with a threshold of less than or equal to 60 days. This measure is calculated by counting the days in between the project start date and the project exit date, or the reporting period end date, whichever is earlier. So for goal four, this is to place clients that are enrolled into rapid rehousing, permanent supportive housing, other permanent housing, into permanent housing as quickly as possible. This data is collected for all the clients that are active during the reporting period. And for rapid rehousing, it's going to be rapid rehousing and permanent supportive housing is going to be a threshold of less than or equal to 30 days. So this measure is going to be calculated by determining the days in between the project start date and the housing move-in date. The housing move-in date must be recorded at the time the household moves into the permanent living situation. And that means that the lease arrangement has been made, client has a ability to enter the unit, and that the client has physically slept in the unit.
Before you move on from the slide, if I can share a note. Just wanted to share a note. It's really, Linda, could we go back to the
Oh, yeah,
previous
sorry.
slide? Yeah, thank you. Wanted to add a note. It's really important for projects, our PSH or PH projects that collect housing move-in date to go back and review, make sure that housing move-in date is collected. If that housing move-in date is missing, it's going to note that the participant is not yet housed in your program. So as you're running reports, seeing that your program average is a bit high. It could be that there's missing data or data errors. So this is, you'll see screenshots that we've shared in the slides of where to find that information and how to make updates to those data elements. Thank you, Linda.
Okay, so for this demo, I will be using the report that is built in the training site, but you can find the exact same reports in the live site. And the report path is going to be under the report icon. You're going to go to data analysis, go down to Orange County system reports, and then you're going to go to the project performance report section. And these are going to be the reports that you would be running by project type. And it's going to give you just a summary report of the project type. And then also it's going to give you a detail if you want a more in-depth. Then also, we're going to do a demo for Go Live as well, so you can locate those reports under the exact same section, and it's going to be the bed inventory report and also the units, bedding units provided. So I'm going to be demoing this on the training site. So this dashboard is going to cover goals 1 through 4. That I just went over previously. And for this, you want to make sure that you adjust the filters to the desired reporting period. For this demo, I'm only going to look at the last complete month. And so I'm going to update that right here under the reporting period filter. And then just to make it more I'm going to narrow it down to an agency as well. So I'm going to go ahead and use the OZ training agency. And then we're going to go ahead and run that. I already ran this though. So the data has populated. So for goal 1, this is for prioritizing clients experiencing homelessness. The threshold for this measure is 100%. So you can see here on the first project that we have, there are some errors where we have 14% as clients coming from a non-homeless situation. So this dashboard, some of the tiles are interactive. So let's say like your project is not scoring 100% as you should. So what you can do here is you can hover hover over the different percentages. We want to look at non-homeless situations. So then you can go ahead and hover over it and give it a click. And then from there, a window will pop up. I'm just gonna let it load a little. But it should give you a list of clients that are coming from a non-homeless situation. So from there, you will be able to review each client enrollment to make sure that the prior living situation field is in fact correct. And if it's not, you're gonna have to make that update to the prior living situation field on the client entry screen. So it'll give you a list of clients here that have a non-homeless situation. And then for goal 2 and 3, this is looking to decrease the length of stay in the temporary shelter and then also homeless prevention projects for goal 3. So it kind of gives you an average length of stay for each project in your agency. This one, unfortunately, does not have a drill in data like the first tile for goal 1. But we do have PPR reports that I was mentioning before, how we have the details report. So once you run that details report, you will be able to kind of see a breakdown of each of the clients that are enrolled in your project. And it will kind of give you their length of stay individually. And from there, you can review the project start date and the end date just to ensure that the client is meeting the threshold for this measure. So goal 4, this is to place households in units as soon as possible. This one you can drill in though. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. And then with this goal 4, it's gonna be looking at the project start date and the housing move-in date. So from there, you can go in and just verify the project start date and the housing move-in date to ensure that that it is meeting the threshold for this measure.
And Linda, before you move on, if I could share a note.
Yeah, go ahead.
These reports are also available on the Live Clarity site. So each agency is encouraged to run the projects type that your agency operate. You can run the report, which is this dashboard as Linda is sharing. It's going to provide a quick snapshot and aggregated data for each project. And if you need to run the reports detail dashboard that will give client level data for each measure. As mentioned, it is encouraged for agencies to run to check and see how your data is doing throughout the year. And when our HMS team reach out during different reporting period, that would be the reporting period you'll be adjusting the reporting period filter to. But again, you will have access to run this report as needed. So we do highly encourage running the report even when we don't reach out to ask you to review your data, just so that you have the opportunity to quickly find errors and manage and make corrections as needed, so there's less corrections during reporting period times. Thank you, Linda.
And yeah, just a reminder that when you are reviewing your data, if there are any corrections, you will have to go into HMIS and make those corrections. And that would have to be done before the project performance corrections due date, just so that we ensure that the data is up to date and that will be reflected in the final PPR report. Okay, so we're moving on to goal 5. Okay. So goal 5 is to ensure that projects are being fully utilized. So this goal is to ensure that all the beds, all available beds are being filled as often as possible, to reduce the amount of time when clients are being unsheltered. This data is collected for head of households and households with adult and children, and for all clients in households without or with only children. And it is applicable to emergency shelter at the threshold of greater than or equal to 70%, rapid rehousing at greater than or equal to 80%, permanent supportive housing, other permanent housing is going to be greater than or equal to 95%. So for head of house, for households with adult and children, this goal is calculated by using the bed nights of the head of household that is active during the reporting period. And this is being compared to the number of days the project unit inventory was available for occupancy. For households without children and households with only children, the bed night is calculated, the utilization is calculated by using the bed nights of all clients active during the reporting period, and this is being compared to the number of days that the bed inventory was available for occupancy. Okay, so for this demo, I will be referencing the unit utilization knowledge base article, and this article will give you a step-by-step instruction on how to calculate goal 5 for your projects. And we're going to go ahead and drop that KB in the chat if you guys want to follow along. Okay, so similarly to the previous demo, I'm going to pull this information on the training site. We did build out the same report on the training site due to client confidentiality, but this reflects the reports that we have on our live site as well. So for this is going to be a two-step process. You will need to run the unit, the bedding unit inventory, which is what we have here, and then also the bedding units provided. And these are both linked in the knowledge base article as well. And then, like I said before, you can locate these reports on the same file path under the project performance report section. Okay, so for these reports, with any report, make sure that you adjust your filters to the desired reporting period. Again, for this, I will be looking just at the past complete month, which is going to be June 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2025. So it's going to be a whole month. The looker For the looker logic, when you look at a time frame, for example, for the month of June, you will need to add one more day in order to capture the entire month of June, or else it would only pull the data up until the 9th. So you can just see it here, it has a little guidance. It says until before. So you're going to need to add one extra day in order to capture the entire month of June. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and work on the bed-in unit inventory. The start date. This is going to be the last day of your reporting period. And then the date filter is going to be the report period range. Again, like I said, if you want to look at the whole month of June, you're going to have to add one more day in order for it to capture that data. And then for this demo, I'm going to be using the OC training agency again. And then also the end date is going to be the first day of the reporting period. And then you're going to go ahead and click run. I already ran this though, just so that it populates and it's ready for the training. And then you're going to go ahead and download this data. And then for the second report, I'm going to be using the same reporting period filter as well. So make sure that gets updated and then also include your agency name. And then I'm going to go ahead and run that as well. And then I'm going to go ahead and download it. So just a reminder that the bedding unit calculation or the unit utilization is going to be the total bed unit nights provided divided by the total possible bed and unit nights. So to create the unit, so to create the denominator, we're going to go ahead and open up um, the unit bed and unit inventory spreadsheet. So I have that right here. This is going to be the raw file that you get when it's downloaded. So this is the data that you're going to get. I always like to name my tabs accordingly just so that everything is organized. So I'm going to go ahead and name this as my raw tab. So you can see here that agencies, some agencies have multiple records with their changes in bed inventory. So you can see here there is going to be a double entry for this project. Um, so in order to get a full summary of the total possible bed night and units, we're going to have to create a pivot table in order to get the sum. And so for that, you're going to go ahead and select the report range. Usually I would select the whole thing, but there are some headers up here that aren't really applicable um, to, uh, to the pivot. So I'm just going to go ahead and select this range only. So what you're going to do is you're going to select that range, you're going to go to insert and then create a pivot table. And then it should highlight that range for you. And then also you just want to put it in a new worksheet. And I already have that right here. So a pivot table is going to give you more of an aggregate, a view of your data or a sum of your data by product type. And this is what we have here. So once you get your pivot table, you're going to drag the full name for the projects into the rows. So I can go ahead and just do that really quick. So you just want to grab the full name and drag into the row so all the projects are listed here. And then we're going to go ahead and drag in the total possible bed and unit nights under values. And then make sure that the value for that is going to be a total sum. And then there you will have the total sum of the total possible bed unit nights for each project. And once you're done with that, you're going to create another tab, which is going to be a goal 5 score. And this is going to be in the KB as well. You're going to create a goal 5 score tab, and then you're going to add in the following headers, which is this. And then from there, you're going to grab the project names that's going to be listed in the pivot tab. So there's going to be these projects right here. Simply just copy it over and then drop it right under the project name. And then we also have our total possible bed unit nights. You're going to go ahead and grab that information and drop it right under that column as well. So now we have the project name and then the total possible bedding unit nights. And then for the program ID, we are going to do an X lookup to grab the program ID. So we want to, so I just want to explain the X lookup. So what we want Excel to do is to basically find the project name, which is A2 right here. That's going to be the selection for what we want Excel to find. The second The second range for this is going to tell Excel, hey, I want to find this project name. We're going to refer to the raw tab to get the program ID. So we want it to reference A2, and then the next range is going to be this range right here. So basically, we're telling Excel to look for A2 in the goal 5 scores in this range, and then also to return the program ID in the second range. So then you're going to go ahead and highlight the second range here as well to tell Excel to return the program ID based on the project name. So I can just do it really quick. So we're just going to type in the formula, X lookup. I want Excel to reference A2, do a little comma. We're going to go to the raws tab. We want Excel to look for A2 in this range right here. I always like to lock the range because if you don't lock it, it'll move down and that's not what you want. Data is not going to be accurate. And then for the second range, you're going to put a comma and then select the program ID. You want Excel to return the program ID based on the project name. And once you have that done, you're going to go ahead and just drag down the data and it's going to populate for you. So now we have the project name, program ID, total possible bed and night units. So the only thing we have left is the total bed unit nights that has been provided. So
Before
if
you
you
move
remember,
forward, before you move forward, could I add a note?
yes,
Thank you, Linda, for the note about locking the range. Linda, could you hover over B2?
yes.
And just wanted to note the way Linda locked the range is putting the dollar sign within the range. If you can kind of share that so our users know the way to lock it is to put the dollar sign between A and 3 and A and 16. That's locking that range to that specific table that we want to make sure that the range doesn't move.
Yeah, so you can either manually just type it in the dollar signs or you can use the F4 function. So you hover, if you just go into like a specific cell, you can kind of go through uh, which cell you want to lock. So you would have to use the F4 function to do this
Thank
instead
you,
of
Linda,
having
for
to manually type it in. Sorry, I
thank you,
skipped
Linda,
that
for
step.
that. Thank you for
Okay,
that tip, Linda.
okay. And then, okay, so we have everything already. We're just missing the bed unit nights that was provided. So we're gonna go to our other report that we have, which is going to be this one. Again, we're going to use the X lookup to perform this and to pull the data in for column C. Again, it's going to be the same. So you're going to do the X lookup. You want it to reference. For this one, we will be using B2, which is the program ID to pull in the information for the bed nights provided. And again, you're going to reference B2. You're going to highlight from this report, the units provided report. This is going to be the first range, the program ID range, and then you're going to ask Excel to give us the total bed nights provided based on the program ID. So I can do that again. So we're going to do a little X lookup. Sorry. Okay, X lookup. Okay, we're going to reference the program ID. And then from there, we're going to go ahead and pull up our um, units provided report. I'm going to select this range because I want Excel to look at the project ID in this range. And then with that, I want Excel to return the total bed unit nights provided based on the program ID. And we're going to select this range. And then once you have that, you're going to want to populate it and drag it down and populate it again. And so again, a goal 5 is calculated by using the total bed nights provided. This is divided by the total possible bed and unit nights. So it's going to be a simple calculation, just C over D, which is going to be the nights provided over the total possible. And you should be able to get your unit utilization that way. Obviously, the numbers are a little wonky. This is just because it's on the training site. But I just wanted to remind all agencies that it is very important to update your bed inventory as it changes or as soon as you are aware of the change. Best practice, we always recommend that you should be reviewing your bed inventory quarterly, just to ensure that that information is up to date in HMIS, as it will affect reporting such as the PPR itself. And I think that's it for goal 5. Here are the resources that we put all into a slide. Project performance overview. There are some key knowledge-based articles if you guys want to go more in depth with some of the topics that we went over. But that is all I have for the PPR training today. So if you guys have any questions, please let us know in the chat, or if anything is program specific or agency specific, please submit a ticket to the help desk so that we can better assist you. And again, just to make sure that you include your name and also your agency in the chat so that we can also record attendance. Thank you so much.
And I wanted to share that we do have a training survey, so feel free to complete the survey. Let us know your feedback or any topics you would like for us to cover in the future. And this training video and slide and materials will be recorded and saved on our trainings on our website, and we will be sending a recap with all of this material. But wanted to drop the HMS recorded link into the chat so you can review any past trainings we've have on our site, and we'll be also adding the PPR goal 1 through 5 onto the training site or website as well. HMS team did leave some time for Q&A, so if anyone would like to ask a question, as Linda shared, please feel free to add that into chat or feel free to unmute yourself if you would like us to review any slide or any of the goals that we covered today. Linda, I don't believe I see any questions in our chat. So I just want to remind everyone, if you're an agency admin, feel free to submit a ticket if a question comes up. Yeah, Linda, I don't think I see any questions.
Okay. Well, thank you all for so much for taking the time to join our meeting. And like I said, if you guys have any questions, please submit a ticket to the help desk so that we can better address your issue. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.